The Etruscans were an ancient civilization that inhabited central Italy in a region known as Etruria. They shared a common language and culture and were organized as a federation of independent city-states. Their origins are generally traced back to the Villanovan culture, which developed in the area during the Late Bronze Age. By around 900 BC, a distinct Etruscan civilization had clearly emerged, noted for its advanced social organization and remarkable cultural achievements. Etruscan independence gradually declined as a result of the Roman-Etruscan Wars. Assimilation into Roman society began in the late 4th century BC, accelerated after Roman citizenship was granted to the Etruscans in 90 BC, and was effectively completed by 27 BC, when Etruria became part of the newly established Roman Empire. Religion played a central role in Etruscan life. They worshipped a rich pantheon of gods and goddesses, many of whom were later absorbed into Roman religion, each associated with specific natural forces or aspects of human life. The Etruscans also believed strongly in an afterlife, constructing elaborate tombs decorated with frescoes and grave goods, many of which have been uncovered by archaeologists. Beyond their own achievements, the Etruscans exerted a profound influence on early Rome. As one of the first major civilizations to interact with the Romans, they shaped Roman culture in lasting ways. Roman political institutions, religious rituals, urban planning, and symbols of authority all bear clear Etruscan influence. At its height, around 750 BC, Etruscan civilization extended across three major regional confederations: Etruria, modern Tuscany, Latium and Umbria, the Po Valley and Eastern Alps, and Campania in southern Italy. During this period, Etruscan culture flourished and played a central role in shaping the early history of Italy. Genetic research conducted by the universities of Ferrara and Florence, published in 2013 and 2018, analyzed the mitochondrial DNA of approximately 30 Etruscan individuals who lived between the 8th and 3rd centuries BC using next-generation sequencing techniques. The results indicated that the Etruscans were indigenous to the Italian peninsula, rather than recent migrants. Further evidence came from a 2021 study published in Science Advances, which examined the autosomal DNA of 48 Iron Age individuals from Tuscany and Lazio dating between 801 BC. This study found that Etruscans carried the same proportion of step-related ancestry as contemporary Iron Age Latins, and showed no evidence of recent genetic admixture from Anatolia or the Eastern Mediterranean. Genetically, both Etruscans and Latins clustered closely with other European populations and overlapped strongly with modern Italians. Together, these findings support the conclusion that the Etruscans were a local population deeply rooted in central Italy, genetically continuous with neighboring Italic peoples rather than immigrants from the Eastern Mediterranean. The Etruscans, civilization, culture, and legacy. Roman conquest and the Etruscan League. By the 3rd century BC, during the Roman-Etruscan Wars, Rome had conquered Etruria, marking the end of Etruscan political independence. According to tradition, the Etruscan League, also called the Dodecapolis or Etruscan Federation, was an alliance of 12 city-states formed between 600 and 500 BC. Myth credits its foundation to the brothers Tarchon and Tyrrhenus. The city of Tarchna, Roman Tarquinii, took its name from Tarchon, while the Greeks called the Etruscans Tyrrhenians after Tyrrhenus. Although there is no full agreement on which cities belong to the League, candidates include Arretium, Caere, Chiusi, Cortona, Perugia, Populonia, Veii, Tarquinia, Beccellonia, Volterra, Orvieto, and Volsci, with some sources adding Roselle. The League functioned primarily as a religious and economic association, not a centralized political state, and was loosely organized, similar to the Greek leagues. The 12 cities were said to meet annually at the Fanum Voltumni near Volsinii, where a ceremonial leader was selected to represent the League. Even under Roman rule, the institution survived in symbolic form, as attested by inscriptions from the 2nd century BC. Origins of Rome and Etruscan influence. The prevailing historical view is that early Rome emerged from Latin communities that later absorbed Etruscan influences. Before the rise of the Etruscans, Rome was likely a small settlement. The Etruscans contributed to its early urban development, including drainage systems, road construction, religious rituals, and symbols of authority. Roman tradition holds that Romulus and Remus founded Rome on the Palatine Hill following Etruscan ritual practices, reflecting the deep cultural impact of Etruscan civilization on early Rome. Society and culture. Greek influence. From the 8th century BC onward, the Etruscans were deeply influenced by Greek culture through contact with Magna Graecia and Sicily. This led to the Orientalizing period, followed by phases known as Archaic, Classical, and Hellenistic. Greek influence reshaped Etruscan art, technology, and religion. Pottery techniques, artistic styles, and mythological themes were adopted and adapted. Deities were often identified with Greek equivalents, such as Tinia with Zeus, Uni with Hera, and Ida with Hades. Housing and urban life. Early Etruscan houses were made of wood, clay, and mud brick, leaving few archaeological traces. Most knowledge of their daily life comes from tombs, which often contain vivid frescoes and grave goods. By the Archaic period, more permanent urban structures appeared, especially at Marzabato, Gonfienti, and Poggio Civitate. Houses were organized around a central courtyard with an impluvium for collecting rainwater, a model later adopted by the Romans as the Pompeian house. Roofs were tiled and decorated with terracotta ornaments, masks, palmettes, and statues. Friezes and sculptural decorations from sites like Poggio Civitate show remarkable craftsmanship and artistic sophistication. Religion. Etruscan religion was an immanent polytheism. All natural events were seen as expressions of divine will. Sacred knowledge was revealed by mythical figures such as Tages and Begoia, whose teachings were preserved in holy texts. Major deities included Tinia, sky, Uni, his consort, and Sel, earth, along with gods such as Turan, love, Laren, war, Fufluns, wine, Selvans, boundaries, and terms, messenger. Greek and Roman gods such as Artemis, Minerva, and Dionysus were later incorporated. Divination, especially through interpreting lightning and animal entrails, played a central role in public and private life. Cuisine. The staple of the Etruscan diet was spelt, used to make porridge and flatbreads. Their diet also included legumes, pork, game, sheep, dairy products, and fish, especially in coastal cities such as Populonia. Interestingly, four-pronged forks have been found, though they were probably used for serving rather than individual eating. Games and leisure. Tomb paintings depict various games, including katabos, a Greek wine-throwing game played at banquets, bull-leaping rituals, and pole-climbing competitions similar to the Greasy pole. Medicine. The Etruscans practiced advanced medicine, including cranial surgery, trepanation, and dental prosthetics made of gold. Anatomical votive offerings show detailed knowledge of internal organs, and representations of pregnant wombs may be the earliest known depictions of intrauterine life. Society and family. Etruscan society was organized around aristocratic families who accumulated wealth through trade with Celts and Greeks. The monogamous married couple stood at the center of social life, and women enjoyed a higher public status than in most ancient Mediterranean societies. Language and writing. The Etruscans adopted a version of the Greek alphabet around 700 BC. Over 13,000 inscriptions survive, though only a few are long. The language remains only partly understood and belongs to the Tercinian language family, unrelated to Indo-European languages. The Cippus Perusinus, a long legal inscription, records a land agreement between two Etruscan families and is one of the most important surviving texts. Art. Etruscan artisans excelled in bronze casting, fresco painting, pottery, jewelry, and terracotta sculpture. Their bronze mirrors and sarcophagi are especially famous. Most surviving art comes from tombs, where scenes of banquets, music, and mythology offer insight into Etruscan beliefs and daily life. Decline and legacy. By the late Roman Republic, Etruscan civilization had been fully absorbed into Rome. Yet its influence survived in Roman religion, architecture, political symbols, and urban planning. Although the Etruscans disappeared as a distinct people, their legacy endures through their art, inscriptions, and the cultural foundations they laid for Roman civilization.